Hi parents, good morning. Welcome to another edition of our chat show. This morning we'll be discussing on child abuse. So this will be our series for the next few weeks. So we'll be discussing on different aspects of child abuse. So and today we'll be concentrating on one of the type of child abuse, which is the physical abuse. As we all know that abuse is when a child is intentionally harmed by an adult or another children. So, and this abuse can occur over a period of time and it can be a one-off action. So, and abuse can be physical, sexual, emotional, or even as a result of neglect. And sometimes even abuse can happen through online. So we call them this cyber abuse. So it's really important parents we are aware of this. And most time we think that physical abuse is when somebody hurts someone and it's left injury or scar on the person. Well, that could be part of the physical abuse, but most of the physical abuse does not really manifest physically on the individual or on the child, physical body. So some of them actually lead to some other long-time, issues. So before I go into that, I'll quickly explain what physical abuse is. Physical abuse in a child is when someone is hurting the child. So this could be from eating, smacking, slapping, punching, kicking, pinching, from shaking, suffocating, pulling of ears, spitting or throwing, strolling, or making, the child, to do things that are not comfortable for them. For instance, asking the child to carry an heavy stuff, heavy load that we ourselves know that is very difficult for us to, to lift, asking them to lift it. Or when we give them a medication inappropriately. For example, a child was complaining of fever and feeling cold, and because we don't have time, as a parent, to take them, to the hospital or to see the GP, then we tend to, resort to self-medication, whereby we give these children, our children, a medication. We do a self-prescription, and which could be a term as a physical abuse in the long term. So, parents, I want us to be very cognizant of this because physical abuse happen every day, and sometimes we feel like probably abuse happen probably from strangers, from probably people outside. No, most time we do a lot of abuse. We abuse our children in so many ways, even unconsciously and consciously, especially the physical and the emotional abuse. This is common with parents. So parents we need to be aware of this, and we need to know the implications of doing this. So there are some policy around physical abuse itself, so which we need to be aware of, and we need to know what the law is saying. And as we know, for example, the one of the physical abuse that I think I've mentioned it before is if I didn't remember, is spanking or smacking. That is not allowed in some part of United Kingdom, especially in Scotland. It's prohibited. So parents, we need to be very careful. When but if we find ourselves doing this, we have to be very careful and we have to stop it. So there are a lot of ways like by which physical abuse affects physical abuse affects children. So one of the ways is, well, which we know it can cause injury, like they can get injured if you spank them. The area can be red sore and very painful, causing discomfort, and also it can lead to anxiety when children are so anxious and they are very frightened, and in some cases it leads to depression and it causes loneliness, and sometimes it can aggravate anger in a child and cause a child to start misbehaving, because when you spank them, when you beat them with force, it means that you don't really care. Because if you care for something, you don't, just look at when we buy some of our expensive stuff like branded Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and so we see how we take care of them. So we don't do them anyhow. So if because we are hungry, because we are passing through something and we're trying to transfer aggression, on the children, and we start eating them, parents, one of the effects is you will provoke them to hunger. And you know what the Bible says, that in the book of Ephesians, is this chapter says that we parents should be careful, they should be watchful that they don't provoke their children to anger. So also, one of the some of the effect of physical habits could be they will be unable to eat well. They won't be able to sleep well. If you spank them, you've caused them pain, or give them wrong medication, you know. Some of the children, they won't be able to sleep well. They feel bad, they feel hot, and they might not be able to concentrate in school. So most time that is where some of some of us find ourselves in the hand of social worker because they tend to see all these changes in our children in school and they monitor it, they follow it up. So physical abuse happened in several ways. So we need to be aware. We need to, if it's possible, we need to go and learn about these things. We need to be careful. Okay, parents, we can't treat our children like the way our parents, is taught us or the way they've trained us. It's quite different, especially in this part of the world. So parents, it's really important that we are very careful and we are mindful of the way we deal with our children so that we are not indirectly abusing them. And lastly, in our daily life, in our daily living, um, we might be fortunate to see a child that come to us to open up to us about a physical abuse that he or she is um, experiencing or passing through. So parent is important, in that situation, if we find ourselves in a situation whereby a child come to us and report to us that, oh, mommy, I'm passing through this is what the physical abuse I'm exposed to. So what we need to do in that situation, parent, is we need to listen carefully to what they are saying. It's really important we listen carefully to what they are saying, and we need to know what is the right thing to tell them, and we should refrain from saying to them, "Oh, it's your fault." No. Next time they won't open up to us. It might be our child, it might be our neighbor's children, anybody, hold on, any child, anyone, anyone, between the age of even the third, because they talk in this country now, the little children, 3 to 18. If they come up to us, they open up to us. So, parents, we have to listen carefully. We shouldn't judge them. We should display empathy, when they are talking to us, and we should not confront, the alleged abuser. And then we should try to explain to them what we do next. And if possible, we should report, depending on the gravity of the abuse, we can report to the right department. So, I'm going to post some of the departments, some of the departments we can report, abuse to if we if we find ourselves in a position whereby someone or a child has reported to us. So I'm just going to put it, on top of this on my post. So having said all, parents, we want you to be watchful, want you to be careful, in raising your children is really important. And also we want you to watch this video. We want you to make note of the important things mentioned today, and also we want you to stay tuned, to some of our other series that will be coming up on child abuse. Next week we'll be looking at emotional abuse, and then we go into sexual abuse, sexual exploitation and neglect, and so on and so forth, and until we finish the series on child abuse. We hope we place in one way or the other. We hope you've taken one word home, this morning, and we pray may God be with you, may God help you, our parents. Have a lovely and a beautiful day. Bye bye.